one profession that is one of the oldest in the world. And a lot of people aspire to become lawyers. Every father, every mother, and every youth that you see wants to be a lawyer. They want to wear the wig, they want to wear those black clothes and white, I don't know what they call the inner one, you know. And if that is your ambition this morning, lucky you. We have a lawyer in the house who's going to do justice to that. We're talking about Ahmed Dada Abbas. Is a legal practitioner as well as a social critic. A very stern one, I tell you. He's right here with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. By the way, you're looking very cool. As cool as Monday. Yes. But today is Wednesday. Yeah. Okay, it's so nice to have you with us this morning. You're dressed apart. Okay, so I would want us to start from the top, from the beginning, the topic for the day, which is law as a profession first, before we go to the other part of it. Looking at lawyers in this our evolving world, what is it all about, being a lawyer? What is the law profession really? What does it entail?
Thank you. The law profession fundamentally is I would call it the engine room of every society, because law as a science itself was designed by humankind to regulate human conduct, individual to individual, individual to state, state organizations. So it's law that regulates, that sets the parameters of human relationship. It is the bedrock of any society. In fact, it's the finest creation of humankind.
That's a lawyer talking. Okay, Romelia, I'm pushing that ball to you now. Over to you.
Well pushed. The Nigerian lawyer. Now we're going to use Nigeria as a case study because, of course, we live here in Nigeria, and there are lots of people who admire. I've always admired lawyers, growing up. I don't know if I wanted to become one. I didn't used to talk as much, so I don't know. I don't know if I ever wanted to become one. But there are lots of young ones who are out there, who are watching this program this morning and would want to be a lawyer. And today is our education segment, of the show, and we want to teach people, what are those steps that they need to take to become lawyers. In a country like Nigeria, with this school system that we have, how do you prepare yourself to become a lawyer or for the legal profession?
Thank you. The legal profession is open to all Nigerians, and the basic requirements for reading law in any university is like any other profession. You need to have your basic school cert, about 5-6 credits, but compulsorily there must be English language. You must have English language, credit in English language, English literature in English, and mathematics. Most universities now make it compulsory that you must have a credit in mathematics. And you sit for the normal JAMB, Joint Admission and Matriculation Board. Choose the universities of your first and second choice, and if you pass, the universities will admit you. You go in for a 5-year course.
5 years?
5 years, yes. Go in for 5 years, and after that, you must proceed of a necessity to the Nigerian Law School, because that is the clinical school of lawyers. Most of the studies you undertake in the university are basically the theoretical aspect of law. Here you learn land law, you learn contracts, constitutional law, but when it comes to the application, you need to attend the law school, because that is where you are grounded in the science of advocacy. Now you've acquired what we call the substantive law, fundamentally in the universities. What are the rights and obligations of people in a contract? But when it comes to the enforcement of their rights under those contracts, you need to learn the science. So it's at the law school that you are tutored and indoctrinated in how to be a fine legal scientist.
Sorry, Anira. I want to get this very clear. Is it that when during the course of your 5 years in the university, you learn everything?
Yeah.
And then when you get to the law school, is that where you major? Is that where you now choose a particular field where you want to focus on, or you still go there and you still do
in
everything?
Nigeria, for example, we do not have a clear-cut specialization spectrum here. So what we have in law school, the totality of our laws, you are made from 100 level to know the fundamentals.
Okay.
Constitutional law, law of evidence, law of contract. But when you get to the law school, the issue is about its application. Now, you are taught the art of, for example, we have a course, we call it legal drafting and conveyancing. That's where you are taught how to draft pleadings.
Okay.
Because, we work with pleadings, paper, processes that you find. So, in the course of undergoing law school training, you are taught how to draft a good pleading that will stand the test of time. Yes. So you don't specialize there. You still learn the art. Because once you come out as a legal practitioner in Nigeria, you are vast.
In everything.
In every area.
That's why we say we are learned.
Okay.
Because every lawyer is expected to know a little of virtually everything.
Everything.
Because the medical doctors will come to you for a case, a mechanic will come, a communication practitioner will come, a journalist will come. So you are expected to know a little bit of everything. That's why we call ourselves learning.
Okay, I want to find out, getting into the university, and you told us some of the courses that you learn when you get into the university as a lawyer. Is it that you just go and all the courses you take are law courses, or you are entitled to take electives to merge? And why are you expected? Because I saw you nodding your head, you're going to explain. And why are you expected to take electives, to merge with the core law courses when you get into university?
Because, like I said, unlike other professions, like an accountant, for example, will stay within the ambit of his accounting profession all his life, playing with figures. But as a lawyer, you are bound to interface with all segments of the society in your practice. So when you are conducting a trial involving a medical doctor, or you are trying to adduce medical evidence to support and substantiate a particular fact, you will not be speaking legal language, you'll be speaking medical language in order to communicate. Because every profession has their terminology, technical terms. So you are bound to acquire those terms when you are standing in for a medical doctor, because you are assuming before the court the status of that doctor. That's why they call you an advocate. You are advocating the cause of that particular person. So if you are representing a journalist, you must speak journalistic terminology. Yes. So that's why at the 100 level, 200 level, even 300 level, you are expected to take elective courses from maybe mass comm department, sociology department, history, philosophy. Because in my 100 level we did philosophy, we even did drama, English. You take courses from English, English literature, history, religion, philosophy, and all the rest of it. The essence is to make you a rounded
individual.
So what happens when you get to 4 to 5 years?
When you are getting to 300 level, then you really begin to enter
into the law profession.
Law profession, really, subject like law of evidence, thought, and because as at that point in time, it's believed that you've been able to acquire, rudimentary knowledge from other courses, but now you have to get into the real business of studying law.
Okay. Vice Dada, I want to ask you two questions in one.
Yes.
Please follow my my line of thought. I understand in Nigeria the practice of law was inaugurated by the Supreme Court Ordinance in 1876. That's a long time.
A long time ago.
Since 1876 and now, how has the law practice evolved? That's one. Two, what has culture? Because I know one of the reasons why this Nigerian law system, the profession was inaugurated was because there was a cultural
infringements.
Yeah, infringements. People who were coming from the UK had some cultural issues they couldn't seriously deal with when presenting cases. They didn't understand certain things, in our culture. So that really hampered their ability to really practice. How has culture, what role has culture played even for the Nigerian lawyer? So evolving and the culture.
I would say the legal profession has actually come a long way. And we have actually also done very well. Versus unlike when it began, you had just few elites who were lawyers then. But as of today, I guess virtually every family, every community, every village has a legal practitioner, and that has actually helped to demystify. Because in those days, people think lawyers are occultic. You have to be an occultic member before you can read law and all the rest of it. But the honest truth is that the law is also a very open profession. I remember vividly some people say when we go in for our dinner, graduation dinner, that they lock out all strangers and probably we're taking oath of it's nothing. It's complete.
But why do you do that?
See, for example, the graduation dinner, the legal profession is actually a highly disciplined profession. That's why if you go to any campus as of today, I can tell you that you pick out the law students out of them without, you can't, like when we were receiving elective courses from other departments, environment influences you somehow. We're used to flying our colors, don't like talking. But the very moment we were coming back fully to law faculty to receive full-fledged lectures throughout the whole of the day, one of the lecturers said, "No, you can't dress like a carpenter here for one sake. So you need to tie, put on your tie,
color code."
Yes, smartly dressed, and it has become a culture. I feel very odd flying shirts. I can't because what's the problem? Boy, dress down. I said it has become part and parcel of our, it's a culture in the legal profession that you must be a smart dresser. You dress smart, corporate. You look decent. So that's it. Now, we've done very well for ourselves. Like I said, the legal profession is virtually everywhere, affecting lives. And if you look at the social spectrum, you discover that the social critics, majority of them are legal practitioners. Because that's what we are supposed to be. Coming back to what's supposed to be even our role in the contemporary world, I'll still talk about one or two things about that. Then coming to the issue of culture, there are certain things that are not permissible within the ambit of law. You see, in our environment that we are very superstitious. There's no room for superstition in law. No. You had a misunderstanding with somebody yesterday. He said, "Well, I'm a witch, I'm going to kill you." And the person ended up dying the following day in the morning. You can't go to court and say, my lord, I want to state categorically that, in fact, it is that woman that actually killed my brother. Because yesterday night we were living witnesses that the woman swore that he was going to kill my brother, and my brother went to sleep and did not wake up. There is no scientific connection between what she said yesterday and what happened this morning. Because law is a science. I tell people law is a science. The challenge we have is that the layman on the street does not understand the fundamentals, the science of law. So most times, because they cannot connect how you establish cases. For example, let me give you a typical example. In a murder case, there are two key elements that you must establish when you want to hold a man responsible for murder. And the two elements are: one, you must demonstrate intention. You must establish that this man had the intention to murder this man. And secondly, you must connect the intention to the physical act leading to the death of that person. If you cannot, if the any is missing out of these two key elements, your accusation, your case cannot stand. Your accusation will not stand. So when, as a lawyer, I'm on the other side, it doesn't matter. Mine as a lawyer is to act as a goalkeeper to ensure that no legal fouls are scored.
Okay.
So it's just like going to a beauty contest or a cooking contest where you establish what will amount to a beauty contest. Okay, you must add beauty, you must add brain, you must add dressing. 3 elements. Let me just give you a typical example. And here you are coming into the competition, you have brain, you have beauty, but you are not properly dressed.
Okay.
And you are insisting that you've won. The judge will say, no, we have a ground rules. We've defined what constitutes a beauty contest: brain, beauty, and dressing. Dressing out of it. So, you are not the winner. In her own, perception, she could believe she's properly dressed, because it's a question of what's your individual likeness. So, for us as a lawyer, even if I'm defending somebody that is accused of murder, I'm looking for those 2 elements. It must be present. If the prosecution is unable to efficiently discharge that responsibility, I owe that accused man the responsibility to point out to the judge that there's something missing in the prosecution case.
All right, if you're just joining us, today we're talking how you can become a lawyer. We're taking a look at the law profession, and we have our guest in the house in the person of Ahmed Dada Abbas. He is a legal practitioner as well as a social critic. We want to go on a short break to bring your package, and we're talking about universities. For you to apply for a university or to apply to go to a university in Nigeria, it is important for you to know that that university has been accredited. So we're bringing that package to you. You watching now Who Wants to Be a Lawyer, so you know what to do. Stay with us. When we return, we shall be finding out the science in law. We'll be right back.
Enjoy the creamy taste of new Cadbury Bonvita, made from rich chocolate, vitamins and minerals in an attractive new pack. Cadbury Bonvita. Prepare to win.
The quest for higher education in Nigeria in an all-time high, with many admission seekers faced with limited space in tertiary institutions in Nigeria. Every year, millions of candidates enroll and sit for entry examinations. However, about 1/5 of the population that sit for the exam will only be accepted. Those that do not meet cutoff marks will join others to retake the examination. It was also said that numbers keep increasing yearly as many people have capitalized on the problem. They build businesses while others run a high-profile swindling student desperate to get admission into higher institutions in Nigeria. Among the numerous admission scams has been reported in recent times, the institution that admits students in courses and programs not accredited by the National University Commission of Nigeria tends to face future occurrences, irrespective of how desperate it is to enroll in the university. It is also important to understand that enrolling for an accredited program in any university might have different consequences for the knowledge and decision making. The list below are 5 reasons why one should study an unaccredited course and program in Nigeria. Studying an unaccredited program in the university is like paying for a study that is worthless and cannot enhance or impact on the future career prospects. When university education becomes expensive, paying for tuition and numerous fees that comes with it from 4 years, 5 years, and thereafter discovering that your degree certification is useless. It is pertinent to know that a strata of our society is left unattended to, started up with university education and more specifically private universities. Universities education in Nigeria presents a paradox. Close to 80% of kids leaving secondary schools can obtain admission to universities and tertiary institutions in Nigeria. Yet there are in both public and private universities. Nigerian talks about the quality of education available in most universities as several private ones will offer superior education than any universities after spending years traveling throughout Nigeria. Offers stop to visit universities, public and private schools. Parents and stakeholders in the educational sector decry the continued proliferation of fake illegal universities, thus raising fears that the wealth in the sector might have gone deeper than imagined. They sometimes invented residential buildings with a community and in structure belonging to public, private and post-primary schools. Finally, the National University Commission wishes to advise the general public, especially parents and prospective undergraduates, that the unlisted degree mills have not been licensed by the federal government and therefore be closed down for violating the education law of the Federation of Nigeria.
Yes, welcome back. If you're just joining us, it is still AM Chat, and our guest is in the house. Ahmed Dada Abbas is a legal practitioner and a social critic. And today we're taking a look at the law profession and the role of lawyers in the evolving world. And before we went on the short break, we did say when we return, we shall be looking critically at the law or the science inside the profession called law. And it's right here. He says he has answers. So, Mr. Dada.
Thank you. You know, science brings certainty into life. It brings regularity. And the whole essence is so that we can plan our lives very well. You are traveling or you are going to work from the home and you need about 30 minutes. You wake up at about 7 o'clock, you leave your house by 7:30. It's because you believe your car will take you to your office within the space of 30 minutes. So the technology of car, which is a byproduct of science and tech, brings regularity, certainty, so that you can plan. Law is also a science that allows people and the society to plan itself very well. Even in social contract between two people, law allows both of us to determine how we are going to relate. That at a point in time, if you have a microphone that I want to buy, law allows us to plan our lives in such a way that I am sure that if I give you money, you are going to release the microphone to me. Without the law of contract, I'm not too sure what is going to happen. So the law defines what we should expect from each other. Especially, let me just give you the typical example. The law of contract says the basic thing is there must be an offer and acceptance. That once I say I want to sell my car, you accept. A valid contract has come into place. That's the science of law.
Is it by word of mouth or written?
Yes, whether by word of mouth or by paper. And that once there is a meeting of mind, we call it consensus addendum. That is, we are on the same page already. And I proceed further to remit money, or we call it consideration in law. Consideration could be in kind or in cash. Once I have furnished consideration, whether in kind or in cash, the law of science says you are under obligation to fulfill your own side of the story. And when you fail to, the science of law says I have a right to take you before the law court to say no, you can't defraud me, because we have clear-cut terms which ordinarily should have guided our conduct. I've fulfilled my own side and you are refusing. So the science of law will compel you that no, that is not how to conduct yourself within the ambit of a contractual relationship.
All right, Barrister Dada. We were having a conversation just before we went on the break about correcting societal ills, and then you said something about a man is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a competent Now I'm using your operative word, presumed guilty, presumed innocent, until proven guilty in a competent court of law. That we've heard over the years. Can you please break it down to us?
When constantly you hear lawyers say, I'm a human rights practitioner, I'm a human rights lawyer, I'm a human rights lawyer. These were things. It was in 1945, 1948 that United Nations actually, the Human Declaration of Human Rights. And the whole essence is that human being, over the years, through rigorous intellectual debate, had to look for guiding principles upon which individuals should relate, upon which states and their citizens should relate. And the essence is just to curb the excessive power of institution, government, and even individuals. Have you ever seen somebody said, oh, you are talking to me anyhow, I will show you. If you allow the instinct of that man to actually rule him, he will use his financial connection, resources, political connections to inflict pain on you just to demonstrate that he's more powerful than you. So over the years, the philosophers had to craft what we've come to know as fundamental rights, rights that has been agreed among scholars that these are not product of any man's thinking, that we actually came, into being with those rights, and that those rights must and should be protected by the state. Talks about freedom of movement. That for no reason, my liberty, my ability to move should not be constrained. Though we have exceptions to most of those fundamental rights. So as to the issue of the presumption of innocence, is a constitutional requirement, and the essence is to safeguard the sanctity of the society. Because you can, for example, be an accuser and also a judge. In law, in the principle of law, you can't be an accuser and also be the judge. That's why the police is not permitted to arrest you and just send you to prison. Or else, there will be no life to live. Because what it means is that somebody might just look at you and say, look, I don't like your face. A CEO can just look at you and say, I don't like your face. You are too rigid, you are too righteous for my liking. I'm sending you to prison. No. So, the philosophers in their wisdom decided to say, look, when the society, the institutions of society were being designed, governmental powers were structured into three: the legislature, the executive, the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. That okay, the legislators, you make laws to govern the society. The executive, you execute the laws made by the legislator. And judiciary sit down. Once there is a conflict, once there is a misunderstanding in the society, you as an independent arbiter will listen to both parties and give judgment based on law. Okay. That's why once a man is accused of having committed an offense, the philosophers, in their thinking was, look, if you treat a man as if he has already committed that offense, and you eventually try him and discover that he actually did not commit that offense, you would have reduced his dignity as a person. And there are some things you can't replace. So now, the best is that let us assume that everybody is innocent because the judge is not there. So the judge will have to, that's why the scale of justice, you see a woman with
the eyes
blind to color, blind to opinion, blind to bias, blind to so many things. I just want to have a pure heart to listen to.
What does that signify? The law or the judge?
Yes, justice. Justice with a sword and a blindfolded face. I'm not interested.
And a scale.
Yes. Scale balance.
What does it mean?
The scale is to measure the weight of evidence.
Okay.
The weight of evidence. So you bring your weight, your evidence, and put it on one side of the scale, and bring the other one and put it whichever outweighs the other.
So what's the point? That's the justice.
The sword is for justice. It's decision making.
Okay.
This is my decision.
Okay. Now, talking about this particular aspect of the law, but as a common man on the street, okay, we talked about the science of law. We talked about someone being innocent until proven guilty, or someone. That's the right word, right? Mm-hmm. Now, there is this common word on the street that we say, the law is an us, and every man can ride. So, because when the package was going in, and I asked you, what about if I catch a thief in my house, and I saw him actually stealing, and I get him arrested, and we have to go to court, and at the end of the day, he walks. I know that he's guilty,
yes.
But somehow within the law,
yes.
something happened,
yes.
and the man goes scot-free. Is it true that yes. anyone can ride?
You see, yes, there is an aspect of our law that sometimes the technicality of law. You see, there's what we call the substantive law, which defines rights, obligations, duties, offenses. We call it the substantive law. It's seated here as an as. Then there is the procedural aspect of the law. If your rights are infringed, how do you approach the court? It's a different ballgame entirely. If somebody assaults you, he has committed the offense. But you need somebody, a lawyer, who is grounded in the science of bringing
the evidence, the facts.
The facts before the court of law. Even if the judge was present at the scene of the incident, she is not permitted to use that evidence that she saw.
It has to be proven.
Yes. And the court is not a Father Christmas. If you do not package your prayers very well, if you are not scientific and ruthless in presentation, you could bungle your presentation. And a man that ought to have been convicted will go scot-free. Like sometimes in the UFCC cases, some of us that are lawyers have been accusing some of them of not doing their homework very well. Why are you taking somebody to judge with about 150 charges?
I don't know if we're permitted to go into the intricacies of these cases that are going on right now, because today is education and we're just talking about the law as a profession.
Yes.
But I want to talk about the ethics that guides this same profession. At what point do they come into play? When you're in court and you're defending someone, or there's a prosecutor, because we all know what's going on, the cases of corruption and there's adjournment and all that. But lawyers, I can go to court to get any case adjourned. I'm not a lawyer, even as I'm wearing black and white, I still cannot go to court. You know, lawyers get to do those things. What are those ethics? They're supposed to put them in check. And when is that sense of right and wrong? When does it come into play?
No, thank you very much, because we actually in Nigeria today, I tell people at every forum there is a moral crisis in this nation. I can speak for myself. There are things I have made up myself, my mind, I will never do. Clients will come once I know you are not being honest and sincere. I'll look at you in the eyes and I'm going to tell you, if you want me to help you, you must come out clean. Every profession has guiding ethos, philosophy, ethics. Journalism,
yes.
They have ethics.
Yes.
Doctors, they have ethics. Accountants, they have ethics. Accountants are not supposed to cook profits on behalf of banks, but we see organizations do it. Cadbury cooked books with high-flying accountants sometimes ago. We have doctors who violate the ethics of their profession. In legal profession also, we have lawyers who also throw caution to the wind, throw ethics to the wind. The most important factor, driving force, is money. Because in law school, we're told point blank, once an accused person confides in you that I've committed an offense, that doesn't say you shouldn't defend the person. But you are precluded from adducing before the court, because we are called ministers of justice, ministers in the temple of justice. All lawyers are called ministers in the temple of justice. And part of the ethics is that you are not permitted to mislead the court. Once you have a fact at your disposal, you must not manufacture facts to contradict what your client has confided in you. For example, let me give you a typical example. A client confides in you, or you know that a client actually committed an offense. Go and give him the best defense, but don't help him to manufacture an alibi. Don't go before the court to say, look, I was actually with him in Abuja, in a conference, in a hotel. That's unethical. And we have many lawyers who do it. It's wrong.
You don't get sanctioned. Sanctions.
Yes, if it's brought before the disciplinary body of the legal profession, you'll be sanctioned. You'll be sanctioned, and no judge will even take it kindly with you. Because you are supposed to be a minister in the temple of justice. Because justice is a three-way street, to the state, to the victim, and to the accused. So you need to balance the interests of this group. But most times you see some lawyers, like in every other profession, throw ethics to the wind. We want to win at all costs. Even if you have to lie, if you have to manufacture evidence to allow your clients go scot-free. But that's not what we were taught. Because we are supposed to be conscious, the moral conscience
of the society.
That's why in every nation, even in Nigeria, look at the Ganifa Wemis, the Falanos. They keep shouting. The essence is to steer the ship of state in the right path. We are the moral conscience of any nation to look at leaders and tell them what you are doing is wrong. We are defenders of the rule of law, that is, conduct the affairs of a state within the ambit, the circumference of the rule of law. Because over the years, philosophers have come to realize that when you allow people to when you allow men to use their whims and caprices to determine what they do, man, being a selfish person, will always allow his decision to be influenced by his personal interest. That's why the rule of law is there to say, to guide the society on how to conduct the affairs of state.
If talking about this moral conscience, at what point will the legal profession, at what point will the body of lawyers, or the judiciary, if you want to put it that way, look at a certain case or certain situation or happenings going on in the country and say, look here, we need to sit down and be committed to legal reforms, to law reforms, such that all those things that are happening, all the loopholes that seem to be, that people seem to be getting less credit.
We have a reform commission in Nigeria. It takes political will. It takes political will. And it takes people who are also morally alive to know that law is a tool for social engineering. That each time you see the society going towards a direction that will not augur well for the well-being of the society, you use law to balance it. Like if you want to discourage consumption of certain item, you put penalties, heavy penalty on the consumption. So law can regulate the conduct. You can use it to dissuade. For example, sometimes government can use tax to dissuade or to discourage certain lifestyle. If they discover that, okay, we are spending much of our money on exotic cars, non-productive items and all the rest of it, the government can slam by law, make it very prohibitive, that you think twice before you buy it. So law can be a tool for social engineering. So it takes the political will of the leaders to constantly use law to advance the well-being and welfare of the society. But most times, look at what is happening in the National Assembly now. Somebody is standing trial for a particular offense. Why don't you allow the man get all the legal assistance he needs and defense to clear his name? Why do you tinker or tamper with the law simply because you are afraid that tomorrow it could be your turn?
Okay.
So the caliber of people you also have in a society, in a government institution, also determine the role that law will play.
All right, now coming down as we round up in just 1 minute, let us go back now to the level where the kids are watching before they got lost in all the law talk. I want you to, in 1 minute, to talk to that child out there who wants to be like you.
The legal profession is a noble profession, and like I've said, we are the moral conscience of the nation. We are tools for social engineering. Lawyers are courageous, they are bold because they understand the law. They are not scared, they are not ignorant, they know the law. That's why sometimes some police officers don't like lawyers, because when they want to go outside the ambit of the law to humiliate people, take away their rights, lawyers have the knowledge to put them in check. So for any young man that wants to read law, you are welcome. It's a noble profession, and it will take you to the highest height you can ever dream of.
Oh yes, Barrister Dada Abbas, like you say. I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's been quite educative and very informative at that. I think I can go back to do my law degree now. I think I'm right. And I hope you're also motivated to want to go or to know more about this noble and very elitist profession. The program has been AN Chat, and I have been Romelia Asenbede. It's been wonderful to be on this show this morning. I want to thank the cameraman and everybody behind the scene who's helped us with this program. And I hope you learned one or two things. We'll see you again next week. AN Chat continues tomorrow. Bye-bye for now. Anyway?
Yes, my name is Annie Benite. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. Okay, make sure you reach out for your ambition. Don't let anyone or anything stop you.